show up at the park when I was a kid, and they're gonna play basketball, and white kids want to pick me. I'm like, no, you're making a mistake. I promise you want to pick Tyler first.
I want to do that.
I'm not that guy, because I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want you guys to get mad at me because you think you're counting on this guy. I'm not going to be that dude.
You was going to be the token, right?
Right. Token, exactly. No matter the culture, there's always going to be a stereotype associated to that culture. In this episode, we try our hand at debunking some of the stereotypes that plague the black community. Some are funny, some not so funny, some ignorant, some plain hateful. Welcome to Manhood Matters, where we have the experience to have impactful conversations with real people, real talk. Let's get to it. What's up, fellas?
What's up?
We got a super interesting one today. This should be fun as hell. We're going to talk about black stereotypes.
Oh.
How they came to be.
No such thing.
How they came to be. How, if at all, they are harmful. And if there's anything we can do about it. We talked about this in the last podcast, about each person doing whatever they can do. How maybe we dispel some of these things. I've got a few here, by the way. I can't cover them all because there's so many. I just picked like 6, and I was like, that should be enough to keep us busy for a little while, right? What's the one you love to hate the most, Willie?
Man, the one that, black men don't take care of their children.
So that's actually on here. We're going to talk about that. So we're not going to discuss it right now.
All right.
That's actually on here.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what my mind's at.
Jabari, which one do you hate to love to hate the most?
Probably that we're thugs, right? The clutching of the purse when you get in the elevator.
But if only she would let it go.
Why she gotta hold it so tight?
Why is she holding it so tight? I'm trying to grab it. Like, just let it go. This way you don't have to keep playing tug of war. What are we doing?
It's really.
That's why I hate it.
You know I'm gonna get it.
I try and be funny. Every time I get in the elevator and I see that, I go,
You got me.
almost.
I almost had a victim.
There was one time where it normally doesn't bother me because you get so used to it. It's fucked up, but it's like you become desensitized. Right? It's always offensive, but it's whatever, right? But I'm at work. I forgot what it was that I needed, but I was running to like Kroger or whatever, right? So, notice I didn't say Kroger's. So I was running to Kroger, and I'm dressed professionally. I got a suit on, and I'm walking into into the store, and this lady was in front of me. She's about 10 feet ahead of me, and she heard me walking fast. She looked back, she saw me, and she started clutching it. I'm like, in the Kroger parking lot? The guy with the suit, that's what you worried about. I was like, oh man, it never fails. So the first one that I have on here, black people are naturally athletic.
Well, there's a reason behind that.
What's your reason behind that, Jabari? So first of all, can we talk about where it comes from? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah,
Okay.
slavery. I mean, it all boils down to slavery.
So you're basically saying we were in the gym for 400 years?
Pretty much. Think about it this way, okay? We were shipped from Africa to America, right? Not everybody made it. Mm-hmm. Only a third? Only a third survived. Only the strongest survived. Mm-hmm. So you had to be strong just to make it here in the first place. And it's not like when we got here, we had office jobs. Right?
We didn't work on the inside.
No. We weren't in the house, right? So we had manual labor jobs. So once again, the strongest were bred to make others stronger slaves, right? Because you want to return on your investment, right? Because that's how it was looked. We weren't people; we were property.
That's right.
Good point.
For hundreds of years, right? So if that's I'm trying to think of the best way to say this.
Say
right?
it, man.
Say it, dude. We're not doing this. Let's go.
Let's do it.
So if we're being real about it, that's what happened, right? The stronger survived. The stronger were bred to be stronger until we were no longer property anymore. Then we were people, or 2/3 of a person.
3/5.
3/5 of a person, I'm sorry, right? So then it's like, okay, now we're start to do physical things for fun and entertainment, and then now we're better than others for some strange unknown reason. Well, I think we all know what the reason is. It's whether or not you want to admit it to yourself.
And I think some people hear that and immediately they go to some of the arguments that some idiots made, how slavery made us better as a people, right? Because that's the argument that some people have run with. Like, thank God for slavery. Look how much better you guys are off because of it.
I mean, better off physically, not better off mentally, educationally,
psychologically, emotionally, spiritually.
Correct.
We can stop there.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think? So we talked about the origin of this, right? I mean, I have a couple of facts here. I mean, some of those things that they go back to, black dominance in sports, going all the way back to 1936 with Jesse Owens.
What's the extra leg muscle?
Sorry?
We have an extra leg muscle.
Oh, that's funny.
True.
You haven't heard that one?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I've not.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's so many things that, I haven't heard, and I'll explain why in a second. But the whole point of the Aryan nation, the Nazis were trying to prove that they are the superior race, intellectually, physically, and everything else. And then, of course, Jesse Owens shows up, gets 4 gold medals in front of Hitler and pisses him off. But they couldn't negate the fact that this happened. It's right here. It happened. So now they had to flip it and go, well, it's because they're superior in that sense only, right? But what harm does that cause?
I would say, harkening back to our previous conversations, that shut up and dribble, I think that's associated with that. You're good at being physical and jumping and running. Don't do anything else. You don't have the capacity to talk on anything. You that's where I believe there's some harm. It's like, you're so good at this that I can't see you doing anything else. So that's what you are.
And that's your job. That's your function in life. That's your contribution to society. Give us entertainment. Shut up and dribble.
Exactly that. Entertainment. Make us laugh or make us go, ooh, or, but no, nothing more than that.
So it reduces black people to just physical attributes.
I would agree. I'll take it a step further. Not seen as a human being. Honestly, I do believe it goes that far.
Okay.
To only see you for what you do, and that's the only thing that you are, it's a lot further than that. It's like, so you are a thing. You are not a person who is good at something. You are a thing. So that's how I feel.
So something, for example, that came to my attention, I was looking at this stat the other day when it comes to the physical attribute versus the intellectual capacity, right? So you look at the NFL, it is 71% black, but I think it's 32 teams. 32. How many coaches? How many black coaches? No, you can't look it up.
I want to Google. You
can't look it up. I have the answer.
As of today, I think it's 2.
Okay. Jabari?
I 3 sounds good.
Yeah, you guys are dead on. It's 3.
Okay.
It's 3 out of 32.
I thought someone got fired. That's why I was like, seriously. Because there's been some fires in the past couple of weeks, and I'm like,
And that says a lot. And when I did watch some football, I remember at some point I would watch football, and I remember not seeing black quarterbacks. It was something because a quarterback is a thinker. That's a strategist. Right. And you didn't see too many, and then it started becoming more and more popular. And
you know what else? And I didn't realize, because I didn't know a lot about football growing up, the D line and the O line. The D lines are typically black and the O lines are typically white because you had to be smart enough to protect your quarterback.
So for not everybody on here is a sportsman. So D line is defensive, O is offensive. Defensive versus offensive.
So if you look back in the day, O line was always white, D line was always black.
Yeah. Interesting.
Man, I gotta check that out.
So the truth about it is obviously athletic abilities. Everything you guys are saying is dead on, but athleticism is determined by genetics, environment, support, training. There's a whole lot that goes into it. So it's not just you're black, you're going to be a good athlete. I can't tell you how many times I've showed up. I show up at the park when I was a kid, and they're going to play basketball, and white kids want to pick me. I'm like, no, you're making a mistake. I promise you want to pick Tyler first.
You not want to do that.
I'm not that guy, because I don't want to disappoint. I don't want you guys to get mad at me because you think you're counting on this guy. I'm not going to be that dude.
You was going to be the token, right?
Exactly. Token, exactly. How do we dispel this stereotype that, first of all, we want to dispel it? Do we want to be like, well, that's not the case?
Yeah, we're not gonna go out there and start tanking games. Just
I need you to slow down for the culture.
But it's not so much that. So to me, like one of the great examples is you have a guy like, have you guys heard of Myron Rolle? Myron Rolle, NFL player.
Oh no,
he turned neurosurgeon. So
I did. Hear about him. Yes.
So he's one of those guys that we look at that. The guy was an athlete, and post sports, this is what he becomes. He's always had the intellectual capacity, right? Obviously, decided to not nurture that and to get to the next level. But who I respect a lot, and people don't talk about enough when it comes to an athlete, is Shaquille O'Neal.
I was just thinking that.
Dr. Shaquille O'Neal. Because you got to think about it, man. That brother, I remember one story that I heard. They were interviewing him, and he was saying that he sat around and he was in these meetings, and all these guys were talking. His manager was there, and he was in part of the conversation. He was like, no. You just be big and dunk the ball. That's kind of your job. And he hated that. And he said, well, he felt like he didn't know enough about business, so he went and wanted to go get his master's. He wanted to go get his MBA. But when he went, they were like, well, we don't have the program right now. You need at least 12 people before he can, since it wasn't like the season or whatever it was, but he needed to at least have 12 people in the class, and it was just him. So he went and got 12 friends, and he said, I'll pay for you guys to get your MBAs. You just come with me. How amazing is that story?
That's
and he just keeps getting better and better and better as a human being, as a business owner. He had like 155, like 5 guys, sold that business. He had a great exit, so you look at the intellectual capacity, you look at the education, it's obviously there. And to me, I think the harm that this particular stereotype does, it minimizes that, and it doesn't highlight it. Because if you ask anyone, Shaquille O'Neal, what's he's famous for? We're going to say big dude. He was a center, and he was the most powerful, dominant player in the game. And, and at his position, and this is what he did. No one's going to say Dr. Shaquille O'Neal, very educated man who's accomplished all these different things and continues to thrive in business.
Right.
Because, little kids want to grow up and dunk on people.
Dunk on people, that's right. How about this one? I really wish I had a woman on the show. We haven't yet had one. I can't wait to get their perspective as well. But this one, the angry black woman.
Yeah.
You heard that one, obviously.
Yeah, we've heard that quite often.
All right. What do you think the origin of that is from?
First, let me give it up to the black woman. I mean, my mother was a strong black woman, and I'm married to a strong black woman. I think that they had to always fight. You think about the black woman in slavery days. They took care of the white children. They was always taking care of people and nurturing people. And I think that during that process, that's all that they were good for or known for. Then they were fighting for acceptance of being, no, I'm not just someone here to change a diaper and clean a kitchen. I have something vital that I can bring and I can contribute to society. So I think that black women have that came from them always having to fight to be heard and fight to be understood. I feel like that was kind of like the origin of that.
Pre and during the whole Jim Crow era, it was a common thing. And there's a caricature called the Sapphire caricature.
Oh, I get where you're going now.
Okay, so you have to realize something, right? Today, there's literally 1,000 shows on TV, on not just TV, but all the platforms. Very little is going to influence people and the way they think going forward when it comes to that. Back then, and even in the 80s and 90s, if you think about it, because it wasn't so abundantly available, any show kind of like sculpted a generation. We all talk like Coming to America. We said certain things. We'll have movie references all day long, right? Right. Now I can if I make a movie reference from a show that I watched on Netflix, you have no clue what I'm talking about because you're watching the 600 other shows that are available to you.
Content.
So back then, these things shaped people's lives and it shaped generations to come. And the black woman was portrayed as angry, loud, and domineering. What didn't help is even when the more modern era came about, you had other shows, regular sitcoms, doing the exact same thing. They were snappy, they were witty, they were funny,
Right.
they were clownish, they were
Sassy.
sassy, right? That's it. You had that going on, and they were like always snapping their fingers and rolling their necks. That's what was put on TV.
So
And
where
I
did they
would
see it from?
I would watch this. Well, it started from that's what I'm saying, from that satire caricature that existed way back in the day, and it sold and it got ratings, and that's what worked. Even as black people, when we put those shows together, we did the same thing. We just like ran with that. So that's the origin of it. That's what made it so popular. That's what made it so propagated. Because don't forget, what these idiots saw on TV to them was reality. Right. The women around me weren't like that.
But somebody just didn't draw a black woman and put this image of a black woman out there.
Someone did, Willie.
Made it so someone made a black person up to be.
That's what I'm saying. The whole blackface thing that was back in the day. That's how they
40s.
they created the image.
The black woman.
Right. They created the image. Right.
This stereotype.
Oh, you're still
he created this. They created this stereotype.
Right.
That's what we're
Exactly.
saying.
It was white women in blackface. It was black men and white men in blackface. It wasn't us playing those roles.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what I was trying to get.
Yeah, because you're like, who's the actress who fucked it all up?
Right. Who did this?
Yeah. It didn't come from
it was
a person.
Blackface.
Exactly. Now later on, you have actors who will sell out. We talked about this before. You have had actors who did sell out to where like, hey, that's what you want me to play? I'll play that.
That just the last podcast I said this. What D.L. Hewlett said, that the worst place for a black person to be is in a white person's imagination.
Yeah.
That goes to that,
Right.
You know, because they drew that up.
Created it, and they think they know who we are based on what they saw on a television show a long, long time ago. Well, that's why when they meet a black person, they'll say something like, "Oh, you're not like the other black people. Well, you don't know any other black people. You just know what you saw on TV or what you heard."
Right.
So really, in that creating the black women adapted to that.
No.
And just
No, do you know them like that? They're not like that in real life.
I know a lot of them not. But,
Some are,
But
sure.
I'm saying, where did they get? So they didn't have to be what was drew up. The ones that's like that.
I feel like
Don't forget that the question here is: are black women loud and angry?
I was dissecting it. I'm going into.
Yeah, no, we're doing a good thing, right? But I'm not saying are there some people that act ratchet or whatever. I'm not saying that because that's in every race anyway. But we're talking about the whole stereotype where our women, black women, are not even allowed to express how they feel and what they go through because that's going to be misinterpreted as anger. Mm-hmm. So now they have to be silenced, right? And so when we think about the people,
good for a woman to be on here talking.
Oh man, are they gonna get mad at me because I'm like, why didn't you invite me? Because I don't know what's gonna get on my ass about it. It's like, man, I should have been here.
I can hear my wife; she'd be all on this.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's another stat, right? So in 2018, they did a study, right, and they found that 77, I could be off, it's over 70% of black women in the workplace experience microaggressions. They deal with that on a daily basis. And then when they finally speak up, because of that frustration they have to deal with every day, they are typically silenced and they have to keep it inside. When they finally express something, it's they're not even angry. They're finally frustrated. They're finally saying something where they're perceived as they're angry and they're overreacting.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, like you said before.
Yeah.
The second they do the normal thing, it's like, I knew you were going to do that. You're the angry black woman. It's like, no, I am someone who is expressing frustration.
Correct.
Nope, you're an angry black woman. But like you were saying that, and I'm glad you brought up the sapphire thing. The biggest problem, and that's what stereotypes do, it made the exception the rule. We know that there's at least one woman walking this planet that does some of the things that but somehow or another it's been put out there. And people hold on to that and love to say it, that's every black woman. And the exception is the quote unquote Claire Huxtable, who is the lawyer who speaks eloquently and in a monotone and all this other. No, she's the exception. The rule is, I was getting ready to call out a rapper's name, so I'm not going to do it.
Do it.
She says body parts of hers are different colors. That rapper. So
I don't even know what the hell you're talking
I'm
about.
glad you don't. I'm glad you don't.
Booty pink.
Yeah,
Coochie pink, booty brown.
There you go.
You might want to cut that part out.
Is that Glorilla? Because I love her.
No, that's
I just discovered her too.
red. No, that's sexy red.
Sexy red.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
She said,
Should I know what that is?
No, you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't.
All right, cool.
Well, if you know who Glow is, you know.
Yeah,
she-
that's like
Oh,
the
Glow's from
same.
Memphis, bro. How do I not know who
yeah,
Glow
yeah.
is? Like, I'm exposed to Glow no matter what. My
That's
daughter
right.
called me the other day. She was like,
I'm sorry.
I like that sound. not from you so much.
It sounds different when it comes from you.
Yeah, damn, that was a little scary. We said Glorilla.
Sounds like a gorilla.
So, you know, but there's something the black woman does that has that takes care of us
The
and
nurturing.
I swear
Give
to
it up.
God,
That's
right
what I
on.
was saying. Give it up for the black woman.
to the next
Right on.
level, bro.
Yeah.
It's next level.
You gonna have a good night tonight. I'm just.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Oh, when
in
this
about
comes out.
in three weeks. Maybe I'll send her that clip.
King of the neighborhood at that point.
That's right.
It's funny you talked about that because you think about Stacey Abrams when she took that L, and it just kind of felt like she disappeared. But what I think really happened was she was in the background just building up the next generation. Because I was like, why doesn't she run again? Why doesn't she run again? It's like she's making it better for everybody else. Right.
Stacey's phenomenal, man. And you know, it's funny. I have her in my notes here. I was going to say, one of the ways we dispel this stupid ass stereotype is we need to spend more time highlighting people like Stacey Abrams. You know, all the women who are doing some amazing things and taking this beating with grace and impact. To some extent, what we can do ourselves is highlight, like Willie's been doing here for the past 10 minutes.
Right.
I love you, boo.
Highlight the strong women in our lives because they have to deal with this bullshit. My wife is, in a corporate environment and she deals with this microaggressions. Some of them are not so micro.
Right.
They are very overt, but that's what we need to do is to highlight the magnificence in these particular women to make sure that we do our part, right?
Totally agree with that.
Shout out to my wife for putting up with my BS on a daily basis.
That's why she's angry. All right, so Willie, here's your favorite one, the one you brought up earlier, brother. Now, you know what? I'll do this one last. Let's do a fun one. Black people love watermelon and chicken, fried chicken specifically. So
Because it's
what's-
delicious.
A bird don't stand a chance around me.
So origin is what? Like, do we know?
I don't understand. I thought it was Southern based, but
It is.
feels that
It
way.
is. So it is propagated from the Jim Crow era. So it was like, it's not so much that what they're saying is offensive. It's how they're saying it.
Right.
And it's also to always put you down. Not growing up here, I wasn't exposed to the racism. I can't tell you, even almost to this day, how many times people have been overtly racist, and I totally missed it. And someone else will be like, "That was fucked up, dude." I'm like, "What happened? What happened?" And I'm like, "I missed
He said
it."
that to me.
Oh, that was. Oh, because I was. Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, was it because I was black?" I didn't. Oh shit, I didn't know because I've missed a lot of things. At 16, me and my cousin, we had to do this job for this guy. So a neighbor, he got a new apartment and he was like, "Hey, you boys want to paint my apartment? I'll give you $20. I don't know. This is 89. I'm like, yeah, shit, $20. Paint a couple of rooms. $20, couple of rooms. Yeah. I was like, yeah, let me get my cousin. He was like, $20 each. I was like, that sounds great. Reggie, dude, we're going to make some money. So I called my boy and we go out there and we start painting or whatever. Now, my cousin is also Haitian, but he was born and raised here, grew up here. So he knows all this shit. And he's dealt with it a lot. It's always funny when I watch, like, when I talk to my friends whose parents are from a different country, but they grew up here because they teach me so much, like how it is and what I've missed out on. So we were painting this room, and this was summer, and he goes, "I need a second coat." And I was like, I didn't know what you need a second coat for because I didn't even know you need to do it twice. Kind of sucks, but I was like, oh my God, I have to do double the work or whatever. And I was like, it's hot. And he was like, don't worry, I got some watermelon. I'm gonna get you some watermelon. So I was like, oh, that sounds like a great idea.
I'll take some.
I love it. Sounds like very much
He's looking out for us. He's looking out for us.
So I go, yes, please. I was like, that's wonderful. So
The side of prejudice.
so my cousin, like he backhands me and like bam, like on my chest. I'm like, what? The guy leaves, right? He's like, dude, that was racist. I was like, no, that was generous. What do you mean?
I like watermelon.
Fucking racist. He asked me if I was some watermelon. And I do, right?
Give me some more. Give me some more, please.
So then he explains to me, who's just like, no, he didn't have time to go through the whole thing. And he even know it, he didn't even know where that whole thing came from. But he was just like, no, when white people say that to you, they're being racist because there's a stereotype about, black people love watermelon.
Did you eat the watermelon?
Nah, Reggie wouldn't let me.
You blame him.
I ain't gonna lie.
You wanted it?
Yeah, because I wasn't sold. I was like,
he did it for the culture.
It's some cool one. But Reggie was like, when he came, he's like, we're not taking this shit, bro. We're not doing it. And so the guy came back with some watermelon. I was like, yeah, no, I'm allergic. just
water.
Remember,
Right.
Oh God.
So the truth is, it has nothing to do with, your race. It's a matter of taste. It has nothing to do with genetics. It has nothing to do with the culture, where you're from, or whatever it is. If we're gonna say, should we dispel that one? Do we care?
No, everybody in the Southeast.
No, but again, like you said,
I don't give a shit. I like chicken. Watermelon.
I mean, it's
I'm like you said, bring it on.
Yeah, it's all about the intent.
Speaking
right?
of
most
chicken,
definitely.
where the chicken at?
It's coming. Lunch is coming.
Well, remember when Tiger was winning, and then I think it was Bubba, and they're talking about what do you think he's gonna want for the dinner or the lunch?
So set that up, right? People don't know what it is. So once you win
the Masters,
mm-hmm. You get to decide what the dinner is going to be. You as the winner, you get to decide what it is. Masters being the golf tournament, the most prestigious tournament in golf, which Tiger's won 5 times, and he gets
check.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then he gets to decide. So going on what the dinner will be, what's going to be on the menu.
You can run with it.
No, go ahead. You got
it. So I think the guy's name is Bubba Watson.
Hey, listeners, I wanted to jump in real quick here to say that statement was not made by Bubba Watson. We love Bubba. He's awesome. This statement was made by a gentleman named Fuzzy Zoller. Fuzzy Zoller is the guy who made the racist statement so many years ago, and he lives and died by it. So there you have it. Back to our show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bubba Watson. So then I guess a reporter asked Bubba Watson, hey, what do you think Tiger's going to choose? Or what do you think we're going to be having for the dinner? And I think he said something like, we're having fried chicken or something along those lines.
Yeah, it said they're going to have fried chicken. I think he actually said watermelon too.
So what's another one? Black people are always late. So where does that CPT? Where does that come from?
Where we were in Africa, our clocks were set differently.
We're in different time zones. We're in different time zones.
So
I thought you were going to say something.
We would look at the sun and the stick on the ground, and then just
the sun's
technically
close.
We're always early.
So we
our
right.
time.
You just didn't catch up. That's what that was.
That's funny.
And I'm gonna stay on that.
So for me, for instance, anything that happened in my culture as a Haitian man, Haitians blamed all Haitians. So, for instance, there's a saying, you cannot pay a Haitian a compliment, because the second you tell them they're doing something right, they're going to fuck it up. Right?
I got a cousin like that.
So, don't ever pay Haitian a compliment. They're going to fuck it up.
You done jinxed it.
Another one that I grew up in Haiti hearing all the time was, Haitians are always late. Now, think about this. The entire country
right.
is Haitians. So what it is when someone or people in your immediate circle do something, you're attributed to that group of people, but that's all the people you know, because think about it, right? If you're going to step outside of your culture, outside of home, it's professional, so work, maybe sports. If I have to be somewhere to give a speech or do whatever I'm doing, I'm going to be on time for that.
I was kind of taught that like for a family function. You had, like, say for instance, you was having a barbecue at your
I
house.
know what you're gonna say.
You know, I'm gonna come to your house late because if you get there too early, you become part of the setup committee.
So you have different strategies based on what it is.
Yeah.
And you're not late. You just being strategic.
Yeah,
I hate to wait. I just hate to wait.
Yeah.
Like if something's starting at 8, I'll be there at like, I'm going to try to get there at 8. Because I don't want to get there at 7:45, and I'm like, all right, so now we're just sitting around for 15.
Yeah.
I could have been at the house getting stuff done for 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
I got a lot of stuff I got to do.
What's always bothered me is actually the jokes are funny. I'm not going to say it, but it's the fact that people will take comedians saying certain things and then run with it like it's just the truth for everyone.
Right.
But it's not just us listening to our own jokes. You know how you can just joke inside your house and you can say things about the people you love,
Right.
but in a second someone from the outside starts saying it. So that's what's happened with that particular stereotype. We would take it, we would propagate it, we'd make fun of it, we'd laugh about it, but then boom, someone else hears it and they go, oh, black people are always late. Now it's serious. And it changes, you know, the way they're seeing us. It changes anything and lets you run into a meeting 5 seconds late. Oh, there you go. See, I told you. When it comes down to business and what we have to do, then that's not something that's real. It's just been taken and then they run with you. They run with it and then they basically take it to say that we're unprofessional as a people, which is stupid.
yeah, it's not true.
A number of HBCUs, the motto is, you know, if you're on time, you're late.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if we can get more of that in our systems, the discipline, it'll work itself out. You know, if somebody tried to say, well, you all are always late, like, no, it's not. 85% of us are on time. All the time. So that's just something you made up and you flip it on and make it a lie.
You've been running with it. Exactly. All right, here is your favorite one, Willie. Black fathers are absent. It's a gross misrepresentation of data. You just looked at that and you look at single family households and things like that, and that's what they ran with. It's just a gross misrepresentation. We talked about this in the last podcast when we talked about our dads, and I highlighted the fact that we had 4 people in the room, you know, and we all had our dads in our lives. Also, the stereotype has been reinforced by things like policies, like mass incarceration. So if I get caught with an ounce of weed, I don't know, is that a lot? Because I've never smoked. I should ask my brother. We're gonna shout out to my brother right now who knows exactly what.
It's not a lot.
It's not allowed. So what is it? A bag? We're over here talking about drugs and how.
right.
But whatever
We'll
it
talk
is,
to
right?
Ramon.
But if I get caught with it, the punishment for me is a lot harsher than it would be for someone else.
An ounce of cocaine.
That's a lot.
Well, no, the punishment's different.
Yeah, crack versus
one
cocaine.
One jug is for one people and the other jug is for other people.
Gotcha.
So the penalties are different. You would think cocaine being a harder substance would have a harder punishment, but
no.
So here's the truth. This is something that you can get from the CDC website. So I did the research and I looked at it. So the CDC shows that black fathers are more involved in their children's lives than fathers of other races. Not just as much, more involved in terms of daily activities. This is things like as simple as bathing your child, reading to your kid, tucking your kid to bed. Because the CDC just looks at everything and has data on everything. So that's interesting. 70% of black fathers who don't live with their children are very active and see their kids regularly. That's the data.
Especially now. I have seen the statistics that us as a whole, we are spending more time and very active in our families' lives, you know, versus back in the day when my granddaddy was living and the way he grew up, he was always at work. You know, I'm still thinking about my wife. I love you.
Man.
We, you know, my grandmother, she was
in a Nash household.
When is this coming out again? You know, I mean, he was a pastor at the church, so he was doing a lot of running, and my grandmother, she really took care of everything at home in the household, so he didn't have to do it. You know, even with my dad, I mean, he was working a lot, and my mom kind of took care of all the household things. But now, I think roles have reversed. It's not a gender-specific type of situation anymore like it used to be. Like, you know, I don't mind washing clothes. I don't mind making up the bed. I don't mind folding clothes, you know, putting clothes up and those different type of things. And I think that the black man, we're adapting to being more domesticated than our fathers were back then when we were coming up.
Yeah. So to me, it's not so much that the roles have reversed, but there's equity.
Yeah.
Which is different than equality, right? We're not doing the exact same thing, but we're just as involved in the household.
That's right.
We're just as involved in certain things. Like she'll cook, I'll wash the dishes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there are things that we're gonna do. You'll do some with the kids. I'll put them to bed.
Right.
You know, so there's definitely that involvement, and it has to do with the generation because, like you said, your granddad was super tough. Your dad was tough. You got a little softer, and not that it makes you any softer of a man. That's not what I mean. Like you still have all these strong qualities, right? As a person, we all do, right?
Right.
But it makes you where you can be more emotionally connected, whereas before we weren't. It was like, now my role was to be tough and to guard this castle, and that was really it, you know. And so now there's a certain way that we are where we're like, no, you know what? I can kind of balance that.
That's right.
I'm able to do all of these things that I still need to be doing, but I still can, be present and be soft with my family and be available to them in that way. So yes, I know that we're involved in our children's lives and our kids every day.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, you're gonna say something.
Yeah, like you were saying, it is the stereotype. I'm glad that that's all that it is. I hate the fact that it's impacting other people the way that it does. Though you're going back to statistics that they have now. Mm-hmm. Most of the information I have on that is another stereotype, about men, that black men always got to have a bunch of women sexualized and everything like that. I think it stems back to slavery times.
Sure.
The whole idea.
Why are you laughing, Willie?
He's like, you going with this man?
He forgot to give a shout out to a side piece.
Yeah, he's like, you messing up all the stuff, all the equity and credit I done got talking about my wife. You done messed it all up and just whatever you about to say, man. So I'm treading lightly. But the idea of slavery put the situation where this one man, to make sure that I get as much ROI, this one man has to breed in all these different households. So this one man is not tied to one household, one family, one set of children. And we're going to help him benefit from that. He may not get all the food, but he'll get better scraps than someone else. Having that, supporting that idea that black man, go be with as many women as you would like and just keep looking forward. I'm gonna take care of you. I believe that whole idea of black men not being at home, black men not taking care of their children, I think it began there.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
It most definitely became a big deal. And then it became policy, like you said.
There was big money in that.
Welfare and everything like that. It's like, we want to make sure that person that would be part of the lead of the household is not there. When times get hard financially, we'll give more money to your family if he's not there.
Yep.
We'll give more, more children that are there, we'll give more money, So, and that all, to me, that all stems back to slavery times here in the U.S. at the least. Somehow or another, the black man not being with his black family, the stereotype is that somehow or another that's what we want and that's what we promote and that's what it's in our nature to breed and walk away. And it's like, no, it's never been that way, especially coming from an African based,
But that's what they use us for.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they use us for.
But that's, like you said, what they want to promote is that this is what it looks like and this is what it is. And unfortunately, there's a small percentage, and I'm hoping that percentage stays small. Some of our brothers buy into that and go, oh, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I like that. I have a whole bunch of them.
And then listen to the music.
Right. Yeah.
That perpetuates it.
And it's like, I'm applauding that. I'm applauding it. So the truth of the matter is, and I'm glad you provided statistics, because one of the things that one of my favorite professors at Virginia Tech, shout out to Nikki Giovanni, who just passed, she let it be known that sometimes the words out of our mouths, the four of us, won't matter to a person until we can tell them what book and what page it came from. So when you said statistics, people go, yeah, all right, let me look that up on my phone.
Yeah, you can. This way, everything's available now. So if I say something that you want to double check, go on the internet and double check it. Make sure the source is reputable, of course, because I'm going back to the CDC. I'm looking at stats that are available for everyone. Yeah, so for sure. Yeah, very powerful stuff, man. Well said. Actually, that's another thing. That's a conversation I'm looking forward to having. The degradation or the loss of the black family.
Yeah.
How high the divorce rates are. And so I was listening to another podcast where actually it wasn't a podcast, it was a speech being given by Dr. Oh my goodness.
Hey, listeners. The gentleman's name is Dr. George C. Fraser.
But he was saying that the culture overall, certain societies and cultures, they thrive when the families stay together, or at least there's a foundation based on family.
Right.
So he talked about the income. It used to be that the highest paid people in America used to be white people. It's no longer the case. I don't know if you guys knew that.
I can see that.
Yeah, I knew.
I've always believed that.
So it's no longer the case. Actually, so they're third now. They're still higher than we are.
Asian and
there's a
Indian?
correlation. So it's Indian, right? So he's Eastern Indian. You have Asian, Chinese for the most part, and white people are third. Now, each one of those people in the exact same order have the highest marriage rate, starting with 90% with the Indians, and it's around 70% the Chinese. White people are right at around 30 or 40%, and I might need to correct that if I'm wrong. And we're way below at like 30-some%. That stuff matters. And I'm not saying that this is not the message, not to be misinterpreted. I'm not saying to my young daughter who might want to be like, I'm not interested in getting married, go get married or else. I'm not saying to my son, go get married or else. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that when there's a family bond, you have two incomes in one household. We team up to do this fucking thing called life. And we say we're going to grow together. Cultures that got that shit figured out and they know what they're doing with it, they thrive.
Right.
And the cultures that don't end up falling apart. And we all know that without a strong economic backbone, we don't really have much power with anything. We could be running around just being renegades and individuals. We're doing our little thing, but as a whole, as a community, we're going to suffer unless we fix that. So again, that's another conversation. And I want to go ahead and find the source and find the data before we can have an intelligent conversation about it. You guys listening to us, we appreciate you guys greatly. Thank you for joining Manhood Matters, the podcast where we have these real conversations. We encourage you to follow us on social media, Instagram, Manhood Matters Podcast, or send us an email at manhoodmatterspodcast@gmail.com if there's a subject you want us to talk about, or if you just have some feedback to help make us better as a whole. Tune in next week. We're going to have some good stuff for you guys. Over and out.
Hey, Willie, can you pass me that fried chicken?
Let's talk
I got
about
a
these other
watermelon
races.
over here.
I really want to talk about these other races. They got stereotypes too. They got stereotypes. Why we gotta talk about our stereotypes?
What's that stereotype?
Oh, you people are so funny.
What you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?